on this date pursuant to an affirmative record vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas section 2.1-3771E of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by this school board that such closed meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be resolved that Accomack County School Board hereby certifies that, to the best of each member's knowledge, one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered.
Second. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? May I have a roll call?
Present.
Present.
Here.
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 Here. White. Present.
We'll now stand for the pledge. Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for the meeting of 01/21/25.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Is there a motion on the readmission cases?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve for readmission on cases 02, 04, 25, 01, 02, 03, 04, and 05. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the readmissions. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the long-term suspension?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve as presented tonight the long-term suspension on case number 02, 04, 25, 06. Second.
There's a motion and a second for the long-term suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Is there a motion on the expulsion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve as presented the expulsion for case number 02, 04, 25, 07. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the expulsion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? There is a public hearing on our budget.
Rules of public hearing. 1, identify yourself by name and 911 address. 2, speakers are limited to 3 minutes. 3, individuals may reserve or transfer their time to another speaker. 4, specific personnel matters must not be initiated at a public meeting. Number 5, speakers cannot be abusive, threatening, or use profanity. Number 6, specify the nature of your remarks. 7, speakers who have previously spoken on a subject for public comment should not be allowed to readdress the board during the same public comment period. 8, specific questions should be resolved prior to the meeting by contacting the superintendent or their appropriate staff member. 9, anyone who would like to present a PowerPoint presentation for public hearing has to present the presentation 24 hours in advance for review by the staff for appropriateness. And 10, all questions shall be directed to the chairperson who will, at her discretion, solicit the response from the appropriate staff member.
Thank you. Ms. Oakley's going to give us an overview of the budget.
Good evening. Dr. Jack presented a lot of this at the last meeting, but I added some more detail on what we go over. The first slide presents what Dr. Jack had presented as to the additional items that he had recommended to be included in the budget. I did go back and amend that and add the third athletic director at Shinnecock High School because that was a vote that this board took. So that's a change that I did add 3 full-time athletic directors rather than 2. So that covers this. So if you look at it, we're focused mainly on salaries, specifically teacher salary. The remaining bus driver, admin, and classified is a 3% because that's what Governor Youngkin at this point is recommending. I did include the next item, anticipated increase in base hourly rate, because I know that's something this board is considering. And if they pass that, that effect will go into next year as well. So I'm just being prepared so that if you do pass an increase in the classified rate, that we'll have it budgeted for next year. If you do not, that's something that we can take out. We increased a guidance secretary at each school except for Shinnecock High, because that had a guidance secretary added this year. And then, as I explained, the 3 full-time athletic directors, I didn't change it for CHS, I'm sorry, that's my fault, but it is included in the dollar amount. And then we were looking at adding 3 teachers, 3 new FTEs, a chorus, a band, and an art teacher. These will be split between the 2 mainland high schools, Arcadia High and Angela High. And we're gonna always continue to do the $150,000 in medical insurance. And we wanted to include in the coaching and activity supplement, a supplement for a coach or an individual to coordinate all after-school activities. Dr. Jack felt that would add more cohesiveness. So, next slide, please. So I try to give you some information on our current year teacher demographics. If you look, this spreads it out on their steps. So step 1 through 30 is how many steps we have in our current teacher salary scale, but there's some grouping of experience. So by the time you get to step 30, you actually have 34 plus years experience based on our current year teacher salary scale. And this shows how many teachers are on each step for this current year. So something interesting to note is that we have almost 26% of our teachers who are on step 1 through 5, which means they have 5 or less years experience, almost 26%. And then we also have 22.5% that are on steps 24 through 30, which represents 25 years plus. So you see we're heavy at the bottom end and we're a little heavy at the top. I just thought it would help to see where our teachers lie. The next slide shows the compression that Dr. Jack, there we go. The compression that Dr. Jack was talking about. And since the focus is on teacher salaries, I wanted to spend a little bit of time on this. The orange line represents the VBA survey for the 24-25 school year. We did not get one of these last year, but we did have one for 24-25. So as you know, they give it for benchmarks 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. And I did a statistical ratio to come up with an even amount to come up with steps 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, you know, because all you have are the benchmarks. So you obviously have to have step values for in between of those benchmarks. And one of the things that you can see is that the orange scale is surprisingly linear, which is something else Dr. Jack had referred to, that we were looking towards trying to get a more linear scale. So under the blue scale is where we are, the blue line for this year. And you can see that in the beginning, we are closer to the Virginia State average. And this is because of the effort over the past 2 years. 2 years ago, we started teachers and we raised them to 48,000. And this current year, we raised them to 50. So the focus over the last 2 years was actually to address that. And you see that for steps 1 through, or years 1 through 5, we're pretty close to the Virginia average. But then you can see that the gap starts to widen. And this is where the real compression exists, and that they're paid beneath the Virginia State average. So the first tier, and what Dr. Jack was proposing, is to try to get to that orange line of Virginia State average. And then he was also proposing the 3% on top of that, since every school division and Governor Youngkin's budget passes, is going to get the same 3% compensation supplement we are. So the expectation is that everybody will get at least 3%. So if we just go to the average, we're gonna be 3% behind next year. So this is something we'll have to look at, can we afford it? But I just wanted to explain it. I think this puts a pretty good picture out there that you can see that as you have more experience, you're more and more underpaid. And that's what we want to try to address. And just to stay on that one more second, 0 years of experience, we were 1% below the state average. And at 30, we were 10%. So you see, it does get further out there. The next one is the one-time purchases. This is where we went through the budget request, and we picked one-time purchases that we have submitted the list mostly to facilities, if they pertain to facilities, to see, or, we still have textbooks and books in there, because we do have the carry forward money that is available to us for these one-time purchases. So these are all things that we are going to consider as one-time purchases, and it will not fall in our operating budget because it would be carried forward, which will be brought back to you in total, including Accomack primary and the gyms and all that. But we're proposing at this time that we distribute this list so that Bobby's department can find out, can we get stage curtains for $30,000? Can we get sidewalk repair for whatever the amount is? Because we need to verify the dollar amounts, because all of these were submitted by schools and our departments. So a new slide this time is I've actually submitted the capital improvement plan. This is something that Bobby Bennett and I work on and submit to the county. I have given it to you before, but I thought it was appropriate to include it at this point because the FY26 column of the $1,035,000, that will also be part of the proposed carry forward plan. And I just wanted to get the projects out there so that everybody sees it. Like I said, I did distribute it before, but we do spend a lot of time. You see, we try to, or Mr. Bennett rotates glass from painting to try to get that done, boilers, HVAC upgrades. And I think it's a pretty comprehensive list, and I'd like for the board to see the whole thing to know that the facilities department does have a 5-year plan moving forward for capital improvements. Okay, just other things that are on the radar that possibly can have other funding, and just to throw out there, none of these are necessarily plans for right now, except for the playground equipment and the awning for bus pickup. Shingatig Elementary is the only elementary school that does not have an awning for bus pickup, and we did that at the other schools with Medicaid funds, which we do have Medicaid funds. But once again, that would be submitted separately and said, this is what we want to do with Medicaid funds. I just wanted to get that out there so everybody knows these are some of the things to consider. And then, if you remember, okay, so that shows the additional revenues that we have at this point, which is only 1.5 million. And Dr. Jeff, I told you last time that we had looked at how many unfilled positions we had, and we looked at adding about 35% of that back. So you see that we would have been at about 1.3 million short, but I added the athletic director. So we're now at this point about 1.460 short of a balanced budget, but it's your budget and you're going to solicit comments. And I believe we're going to come back for a work session, but that's where we are right now. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Oakley.
Okay. I only have one Madam Chair. I'm not sure who it's for. Just trying to understand. No questions about the content here. On our agenda, we've got departments, I think 1 tonight, that are still coming in. How do the ongoing or future departmental budget presentations along with this, particularly since we're already at 1.46 mil short of a balanced budget? I'm just trying, I ask so that I can understand.
Right, so, it's information, it'll be information, just as we're gonna be getting information from the public, but in past years, I think some of the principals felt left out of the process, felt like they didn't have a voice, felt like we, the board and the public, never got to hear what they needed in their building, that their needs were overlooked. And so this is their opportunity, the ones who chose to come, this is their opportunity to say it in front of everyone, whatever it is that they need. And then it's our opportunity to say, well, you know, why do you need that, or why do you want that, or that's, you know.
That's very helpful, period. My follow-up, and then I'm done, is, so the future ones, including tonight, has Dr. J already seen those as well, or would they be first hearing?
I think tonight was the last night.
No, tonight is last night, and all of these budget requests, Dr. Jack and myself and Katie and Karen have gone over in a group and have been distributed to you all. So they've been out there pretty much since December.
Okay.
Thank you.
I will now open the public hearing on the, so, we are only taking comments about the budget at this time. So if you come up here, we are taking comments about the budget. If you are a staff or a student and you have comments or something about something other than the budget, you may do that towards the end of the meeting. We have that as a separate comment section. So, Shelley Studebaker. Hello.
I believe the text of the budget.
Can you just say your name
Shelley
and not what-
Studebaker, and it's 10236 Pintail Drive, Warrentown, Virginia.
Thank you.
And I've had kids in Accomack County School for probably 38 years.
Wow.
Over 56 kids with exchange students, foster kids, and I just haven't known students that started, and we had to do a Shingatee. And I'm begging you guys to get another gym over there. We have a 5th grade student who joined us. There's no girls on the run. There's no middle school volleyball, which Arcadia and Nandua both offer middle school volleyball, because they don't have a gym, is what I'm told. To keep her active in school and to get her through school, she's gonna need sports. She's gonna need the extracurriculars, because she's not a straight A student that excels only in the classroom. So if we want her excited about school, we gotta get her excited about those extracurriculars. The girls on the run don't require a gym. I don't know why they don't have that in the budgeting or something. All the other schools have it. Accomack, Accomack, Compton, Arcadia Middle, Shingatee don't. I always thought living in Accomack County was all of them have the same opportunity, but I'm finding out real quickly that's not the case. But maybe an extra gym would help. Good place to start. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you. Miss Farrell, did you want to say something about Girls on the Run?
So Shingatee did have Girls on the Run. My daughter participated, last season, and they're gonna have a club in the spring. This year, we have enough funds from Title IV to have it in the fall and spring, and it's dependent on coaches as well. So they didn't have coaches in the fall, but they will in the spring.
The registration's already started for the spring, and Shingatee High School or middle school don't have it.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about middle school. I
Yes.
thought you were talking about.
No, she was in it last year, Jocelyn was in it last year.
So that may be dependent on coaches, that could be very good as well.
Yep, they did.
Thank you. Hannah O'Toole.
Hello, I'm Hannah O'Toole, and I live at 18478 Langford Highway. First, good evening, members of the school board, superintendents, and fellow community members. First, I want to take a moment to sincerely thank the school board for your service. I recognize the immense challenges you face in making these decisions for our schools, and I don't envy the position that you're in at all. I am here tonight as both a parent and a passionate advocate for the music education program, which I see was on the budget. In fact, I'm missing community band practice tonight to be here because I believe it's that important. I want to speak on behalf of the students, teachers, and families who believe in the power of these programs. Years ago, a decision was made that consolidated middle and high school band programs under a single teacher per middle school and high school. The result is a fragmented schedule where middle school and high school bands are only available for half a year, or in some cases not at all. At Andua, for example, there is no sixth grade band this year, and the band director is giving up his own planning period to teach seventh grade band. The eighth graders are being bused to high school to just have the opportunity to continue playing their instruments. Those are not sustainable solutions. I currently have an eighth grader who's fortunate enough to play up at the high school in the marching band, and if it wasn't for that opportunity and me knowing that that was an option, he would have gone 8 months without playing his instrument. Thinking about that, 8 months without practice, growth, or development in a skill that has been proven to benefit students academically, socially, and emotionally. I could go on and on, but the time limit's gonna limit me to kind of look at the ending results. We know that academically, it makes a big difference. I got a scholarship for band in college and didn't end up taking it, but I did go on to get an elementary special education degree and start the band program in college, where they're now offering full scholarships. So I think it's a very important thing that we could be offering schools at school. You can look up so many statistics on it, so I won't go into those tonight, but I just want to say those are important. So my call to action is that it's unacceptable that we don't have a fully funded year-round band program for our students. We can do better than that. I know that. I've been in these schools and I know how important these schools are to our families. I urge you to prioritize funding to ensure every middle school and high school has dedicated full-time band teachers. And if that can't happen, let's take a deeper dive into a better scheduling that allows for dedicated time off for the teachers without removing band classes, which may be, and these could be options with other systems such as trimesters, at least for the band programs, such as a hybrid block schedule for electives. I also want to see us dive into a better way of having instruments that are in decent condition or providing a rental program. I know the band teachers have been requesting more funds specifically for instrument repairs. I know that the $450 isn't going to get them very far because I just repaired my own instrument. I think we need to give these students the chance to discover their passion for music without gaps, logistical hurdles, or overwhelming burdens on a single educator. We have dedicated, supportive, and hardworking teachers, and please don't continue to burn them out. I thank you for your time, and if there's anything else I can do to support this endeavor, please let me know.
Thank you, thank you. Miranda Dunstan.
May I distribute paperwork for you guys? Good evening. My name is Miranda Dustin. I'm the PTA president at Chincoteague. I live at 5256 Meadowview Court on the island. I am here tonight, and actually, it sounds like I'm reiterating something that Ms. Homley just said. She added a athletic director budget to your budgeting already. I am here to plead with you that you approve that. If you would, what I just handed you is a job description that has been written for an athletic director. It is quite extensive, and if you start reading through that, it is overwhelming. Right now, our schools, especially speaking of Chincoteague, we work off of a stipend system. So the person that is doing all of the work that you see before you is working off of a stipend while they're trying to hold down a full-time job or trying to teach. We are losing our faculty members that are burdened with this because it's too much on them. We need a separate, completely devoted person for our full-time athletic director. The other thing I wanted to bring up is because I know a lot of the schools are asking for athletic directors, and people say, well, Chincoteague's smaller, they don't really need it as much. I want you to take into consideration all the events and the activities that happen at Arcadia and at Bandua. Those same events happen at Chincoteague. We may have 15 kids that we chose out of 20 instead of 15 out of 60, but our events, we still have the same games, activities, we have JV, we have varsity, we have all of that. With Chincoteague, we actually have the added burden of we have all of that plus a middle school. So we also have middle school sports. And what she said earlier about needing a gym, the reason we don't have middle school volleyball is because it happens during the same time that we've got basketball going on for JV, varsity boys, varsity girls. We don't have enough gym space for the sports that we want to take care of. But that aside, the point is that our burden for the athletic director is actually ×2. So if you look through the paperwork that I gave you, it's a job description of what happens. Take that and multiply it ×2, and you can see why we truly need a devoted person to take care of that position. In addition to that, and I'm gonna do this really quickly, we would also like to appeal for a possible assistant principal that could be split between the elementary school and the high school. Because the assistant principal that we currently have, he and Mr. Kilman are both trying to maintain all of these different activities. We have all the games, all the activities for academics, and they are trying to be at every one. We need an additional part-time assistant principal to help us with that as well, that they can come in and help, not only because he handles the disciplinary and the guidance issues, since we only have one guidance counselor and all the other schools have two. Our assistant principal is also tasked with that. So we appeal to you tonight to consider putting that in your budget as well, and we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else about the budget? Okay, I'm gonna declare the budget here, public hearing closed. Arcadia Middle School, are you all prepared to? We're ready for you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Trey Gainer, I'm the principal at Arcadia Middle School. Welcome. Thank you for allowing us this time to talk about our building. With me is Ms. Monica Dickerson, our assistant principal. She's fantastic to work with, and we're really glad to have her. So I have a presentation, but before I get started, I got 3 members of our community going to speak first. So first we have Ms. Elisa Arnold, parent.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elisa Harmon. And first I wanted to thank Mr. Haney and Mrs. Dickerson for inviting me here this evening to speak. I wasn't sure what I wanted to talk about, but I definitely wanted to take this opportunity to share my experience thus far from a parent's perspective here at Arcadia Middle School. I have a 7th grader here. After talking to a few other parents and adding my own personal experiences, if I think about Arcadia Middle School, the word fair comes to mind. I'm an older parent. I've had some experiences with my son who has a chronic illness, and so I've had some difficult experiences, but ever since he's been here at Arcadia Middle, I go to work and I don't even think about him in school, and that speaks volumes. So the adjective fair, which means free from bias, dishonesty, or injustice, fair is how I would describe Arcadia Middle. The F would be the word for F would be flexible. Here at Arcadia Middle, they're understanding to both kids and parents. They're objective when you are encountering difficulties, which we've encountered quite a few. My son sometimes has a few behavior problems. And what I found is that with Mr. Haney and Mrs. Dickerson, they're able to bring together the parents, the kids, and the teachers, and they're able to work with us and listen to us and be objective and come about a viable solution for us all. The A in fair, I would say, is accommodating. Again, to add on to that, they're accessible, they're accommodating, they're here if you need them. The teachers and the administration. If you need to reach out to a teacher and say you're having an issue, all you have to do is talk to administration and they'll make sure that all of that gets worked out. The I in fair is inclusive. Ever since my son, KJ, has been here at Arcadia Middle, I've felt included in everything, even in things that we don't participate in. They always share information. If you need something from the teachers, they're always accessible. No one is excluded. So in my experience, the staff ensures that the parents are aware of all resources available for our kids as it pertains to their education. And last but not least, The last letter in FAIR is R, and they're respectful here. Not only is the staff respectful, but they require respectful behavior from our students. And just as much as we want our kids to have an education, we also want them to learn to be things like respectful, and that's expected here, and that's something that they will need in their lives to survive, to be successful. Here at Arcadia Middle, respect is not only earned, it's given, it's reciprocal. I'm grateful and proud to have a student here at Arcadia Middle School. Our Panther pride runs deep. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Harmon, for your kind words. Next we have Christopher Guerrero-Sandate. He is 8th grade student. So in November, the country had an election, and in Arcadia Middle, we had an election, and he is actually our class president, so I thought of no one better to speak on behalf of the students than Mr. President himself. All right, Christopher.
Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Christopher Guerrero, and I have the honor of serving as the student body president at Arcadia Middle School. First, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to attend tonight's meeting and share a student perspective on behalf of my peers as student president. My main goal is to be the voice of the student body, representing their ideas, concerns, and aspirations. I work closely with my peers, teachers, and administrators to ensure that the student voices are heard and valued in shaping the school community. My time at Arcadia Middle School has been an incredible journey of growth, learning, and leadership. From building friendships to taking on new challenges, I've gained a deep appreciation for our school community. Serving as student president has given me the opportunity to make a positive impact, and I'm grateful for the experiences that have shared me along the way. Recently, the 8th grade students went on 2 amazing field trips that students really enjoyed. One was to the Eastern Shore Community College for the Aerospace Academy of the Eastern Shore, where we explored various aerospace programs and hands-on activities. The other was to a theater to watch a Christmas Carol. Watching actors bring stories to life was incredible, and students loved the funny parts and favorite scenes. These trips allowed us to learn outside the classroom while having fun, and I hope we can have more experiences like these in the future. Students have been asking for more pep rallies, and I believe this can make a big difference in bringing excitement and energy to our school. Pep rallies are not just about sports, they're a chance for the entire student body to come together, show school pride, and celebrate our achievements at school. They give students something to look forward to, whether it's before the SOLs or recognizing student accomplishments. Lunch is a very important part of the school day, and many students would love to have a say in menu choices. As a simple way to do this would be through a suggestion box or suggest boards, lunch ideas, or an online survey where students can share their thoughts on new meals or even fun theme days like Taco Tuesday. This could make lunch more enjoyable by giving students a dedicated way to share their preferences. We can make the cafeteria a place where everyone looks forward to eating. I want to thank you all for taking the time to listen to my thoughts and ideas today. It's an honor to be able to represent the student body, and I'm excited for the possibility of working together to create a better school environment. I look forward to making a positive impact alongside you all. Thank you once again for this incredible opportunity.
Thank you, Christopher. Finally, we have Ms. Kelly Tucker. Wouldn't be a school without teachers. She is a 6th grade math teacher.
That's a hard act to follow. I'm sorry. Both of you were wonderful. Good. I'm Kelly Tucker. I have taught at Arcadia Middle School since 2011. When I moved here, first I started as a special ed teacher at this school, and I gradually moved to the math classroom. One of the things that I wanted to speak about tonight was some of the things that the math department and specifically the 6th grade math team is using in our classrooms this year. The school board and the middle school coordinator bought some virtual reality goggles, and my kids are enjoying those a lot. So the way I use them is we taught them equations, which is a hard concept for a 6th grader to understand. like there's some number out there and we don't know what it is, okay? So what we're doing is these virtual reality goggles, after I teach it to them and teach them the concept of how to solve one, then we go into how do you use equations in real life? Like, who uses those, okay? So in these virtual reality simulations, they owned a food truck. And they learned that out in the community, if they own a business, they might use a lot of waste for food. So to minimize their waste of food, they had to figure out how many avocados I needed to buy and purchase. So you've got these kids dragging avocados, figuring out their variable in my classroom, using equations in real life. And I think that was extremely important for their learning and realizing that math is part of our everyday life. Also, I wanted to speak just briefly. I was one of the teachers that got to pilot one of our new smart boards. Our old smart boards have been here since the dawn of time. And my kids all joked last year that my smart board had a ghost in it. Okay? You'd write over here and all of a sudden it'd write over there. So I have one of these new smart boards and it's like a giant tablet. And the kids can go up there and they can manipulate what they write. And they can duplicate what they write. So we can make algebra tiles and do all this stuff. They can pull up a ruler and turn it so that they can measure something that might not be exactly straight. It has tons of apps and things like that. I find that this year, more than any of my years, I have more student volunteers to come to the board and go to that smart board now. Because they feel more comfortable with it, because it is a giant tablet. It's just their phone, but big up on my board. So thank you for everything. That's it.
All right, thank you, Ms. Tucker. All right, so now is my presentation time. So to get started, I'm going to show you guys the demographics of our building. You can kind of take a look at the students we have in our building. A little over 470 students total, about 150, 160 per grade level. As far as teachers go, we have 40 teachers, 2 specialists, that would be Title I and a reading specialist, 5 special education teachers, and then 3 instructional assistants. One is here right now, Ms. Jones. All right, one of our IAs. And then on the left, you can see how our student body breaks down demographically. And as you can see, we have a pretty diverse population of students here at Arcadia Middle School. Taking a look at what we've got going on in the classroom, this is our accreditation status from the 23-24 school year. So this year we are accredited with conditions. As you can see, overall English and math are pretty solid, but we do have room to improve in the subgroups of students with disabilities in English and math. Civics, we did a great job last year. Absenteeism, we're doing well. And then science is another area that we have room to improve. So I'm sure like Mr. Haney, how are we going to improve? That's the next slide. The first thing we felt we needed to do was identify our struggling readers. So we have Ms. Kimberly, who's our reading specialist this year. She's phenomenal. Ms. Harmon's our Title I specialist. She's phenomenal. And to start the school year, they did a reading inventory of every student in the building. And pretty much we have this big spreadsheet, and you can see every student's reading scores. They did a specific test called a Dibbles test, and not only does it tell you that this student struggles, this student doesn't struggle, but it kind of breaks down the different areas of reading that they have trouble with, be it fluency, phonics, things like that. So now that we know who our struggling readers are, we have something called a power reading elective. Groups of students have this elective daily for about 9 weeks, and they'll work with their reading specialists on specific reading things. The idea is that these tests are presented to students at grade level. So if students are not reading at grade level, they're going to have a hard time grasping the material. Even if they know the material, they're going to struggle with the test because it is at grade level. So in theory, if we improve the reading, that should help us across all subject areas. We're also using Lexia, which is a comprehension program that students can use at home. We're implementing a math elective as well for this semester. Ms. Owens, which was Mrs. Tucker mentioned earlier, she introduced us to BrainPop, which is a program that's aligned with the BDOE. It has the curriculum. Science has been difficult because it's a relatively new curriculum, so our teachers are still trying to come to terms with that. But BrainPop is linked with the BDOE, so it's presenting them with lesson plans and lessons and projects and cool things that align with the curriculum, so that should help us out a little bit. And then finally, we have the after-school program on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's pretty well attended. And then Saturday school, we had about 50 kids here last Saturday. So kids are having a good time and they seem to be learning. So other things we have going on besides just classroom stuff. So they make great points. You know, school's not just about, you know, school per se in the classroom. We need to have things that the students can do after school. And we pride ourselves here at Arcadia having a diverse amount of opportunities. We have a chess club, a STEM club. Mr. Dedicatoria does the STEM club, but he also does Dungeons and Dragons. I call it D&D with Mr. D. Mr. Conley is our keyboarding teacher. He's the teacher who spearheads the student government. He also has a boys group called Band of Brothers. It's kind of a mentorship program after school. They get homework done, they do some physical activity. And then Ms. Shields is our mental health counselor. She has something called Precious Pearls, which is the same thing but for the ladies, just a group. Middle school can be tough, and sometimes it's easier if you have a group of people who can do it. And then we have cool pics from our Halloween trunk or treat. Mr. Deal is, you know, leading the choir. And then on the bottom right, for Hispanic Heritage Month, we did door decorating contests. That is the door that won. It was a student vote. It's Black History Month, so we're going to do a similar thing for Black History Month. By the end of the month, all the doors will be decorated. The students will vote. The classroom that wins will, you know, get a cool little prize. All right, we had girls that run this year. We had Miss Rice and Miss Robinson were our coaches. They went across the bay on a Sunday. It was cold, and they ran, and they did well. Everyone finished the race. We have a Lego team. Mr. Dedicatoria leads that. They're called the Panther Box Lego team, and they competed this past Saturday, and they won first place. And I was impressed because the week leading up to it, we had no school, so they didn't have time to prepare, but they still showed up and showed out. So good on them. Chris mentioned our field trips. The community college trip was pretty cool, the Aerospace Academy. That's a great opportunity for our students here in Accomack County. 7th grade science class went to the Nature Conservancy, and then here's a picture of the Wells Theater in Norfolk. It was built in the 1920s. It was a beautiful theater. I was able to attend that. I told them it was because you needed an administrator, but I really just wanted to go see the play. So it was a win-win all the way around. The last field trip we had was last week. Mr. Dedicatoria took his sim class to the NASA Wallace Flight Facility, and they went all through that place. The visitor centers, of course, but they went to the place where they fabricate the various parts of the rockets. I think they went to mission control. No one pressed any buttons, so we're all good there. But they had a great time. I think he takes them every quarter, maybe, so I'm going to try to go to that one. You know, you need an administrator there, you know, right? Last slide here is upcoming events. We have our title one night, February 12th. That's going to be at the Wallace Flight Facility, so parents and students can attend that. We'll have our math, science teachers there. RSVP on Facebook, so we know how many schools are coming. We'll have food. Volleyball season starts next week. We have a drone competition coming up in March. And then finally, the all-important 8th grade formal, February 28th. It is under the sea. 8th graders voted on that team, so they're very excited about that. So that is it for me. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. If not, thank you for your time.
One question. The after-school program, when did that start? Does that go all year long?
Yeah, it started probably second, third week of school. We'll do it at least until SOLs, and if we feel like we need to do it more, we will.
And are students, they have to be invited or anybody?
No, they send an email every Monday, tell them to sign up. It's a Google form. Some kids have credit recovery, some kids just need extra help. So yeah, it's the same thing for Saturday school, you know.
How many kids stay after for Tuesday and Thursday?
Today we had about 20, 25. Some days we'll have less, some days we'll have about 20.
All grades?
Mostly 6th and 7th right now. Like the 8th graders, you're older now, so they want to not be in school so much. 6th graders love school. 8th graders are too cool for that. But, yeah.
Thank you. Yep. Anybody else?
Mine's not really a question, but I just want to say that I know Accomack County Public Schools are very blessed to have really exceptional teachers in our county. But you have quite a few in your school, Mr. Haney. And I got to say, Miss Tucker, by far, is an awesome math teacher. My daughter wasn't crazy about math, but she had her a few years back, and could say enough about her. She loves math now, and Ms. Tucker. Same way with the kids. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Good job, Ms. Tucker.
Thank you, everyone at Arcadia Middle. Nice job. Next up, we have recognition of the School Board Appreciation Month.
So, Dr. Jack asked me if I would please hand these out, and obviously, where it is the month, we did go to some extra trouble for the school board back there, if anybody would like to partake. And we appreciate the job you do, because just like us at the central office staff, you probably hear a whole lot of negatives, but you do try to look for the positives.
Oh, it's all rainbows and sprinkles.
Unicorns and sunshine. Mr. Spidell, Dr. Johnson. Stephanie Bowman. Trustee Greta has these in order. Tanisha Handy. Chairman Janet Turner. Vice Chair Edward Taylor. Malcolm White, who's also not with us tonight. Jason Whipper. Glenn Neal. And a special thank you certificate of recognition for our student representative, Brianna Taylor, who thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the recognition of our school board clerks. So I'm gonna read a little proclamation. Whereas school board clerks in each locality throughout our great Commonwealth are appointed by law to fulfill their duties and responsibilities. And whereas the school board clerks are responsible for keeping accurate records of the meetings and proceedings of the school board, a record of all receipts and disbursements, and a record of all official, and whereas school board clerks perform such other duties in connection with the school business of his or her county or a city may be required by the school board, and whereas school board clerks maintain frequent contact with the public, including parents, employees, and the media, on behalf of the school board and superintendent, and whereas school board clerks in the performance of their duties are often required to work extra hours attending school board meetings, and whereas school board clerks join with school boards to help ensure that students achieve their highest potential, whereas school board clerks provide an invaluable service for school board members and superintendents, the VSBA Board of Directors does hereby recognize the third week of February as School Board Clerk Appreciation Week in the Commonwealth of Virginia. Whereas the Accomack County School Board joins the VSBA in recognizing the many varied contributions of school board clerks. Now, therefore, be it resolved that at this meeting on the 4th day of February, the Accomack County School Board recognizes the first week of February as School Board Appreciation Week. And we have a certificate for Greta Smith and Ms. Unley. This is also National School Counseling Week. Are you gonna say something, or
I
shall
am,
I?
unless you have something to say.
No, all you.
Good evening. As we celebrate National School Counseling Week, February 3rd through the 7th, on behalf of the Accomack County Schools, I want to take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude for the invaluable work that our school counselors do every day. Their dedication, compassion, and unwavering support have a profound impact on the lives of our students, families, and staff of our entire school community. Our school counselors serve a vital role, and during this week of recognition, we want you to know how much we appreciate each one of you and the tireless work that often goes unnoticed. We recognize your hard work, and we are grateful for the care and guidance that you provide. The positive difference that you make in the lives of our students is immeasurable. We are lucky to have our school counselors as part of the Accomack County Public Schools. To my school counselors, thank you for all you do to help the students thrive academically, socially, and emotionally. You truly make a difference every day, and we are thankful for your dedication. At this time, I would like to recognize our 14 school counselors. Our elementary counselors at Punkateek, Bailey Cobb, Accomack, Jessica Rivas, Metonkin, Brianna Young, at Kegatank, Melanie Shreves, at Chincoteague, Angela Neal. Our middle school counselors at Neandua, Ellie Diaz, at Arcadia, Latasha Hutt. Our high schools at Neandua High School, Barbara Parker, Lori Smith, and LaCourtney Bundick. At Chincoteague Combined, Michelle Conklin. Arcadia High School, Karen Edwards, Laura Cody, and Tiffany Rue. On behalf of those 14 counselors, I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to work with them, and we are striving to make Accomack County Schools the best that we can do. Thank you.
Recognition of February is Black History Month. Dr. Johnson.
It's my pleasure to share, thank you, as we observe Black History Month, let us take this opportunity to celebrate the remarkable achievements of African Americans throughout history, acknowledging resilience, courage, and contributions to our nation, while also recognizing the ongoing fight for equality and justice, ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to reach their full potential. We should all be reminded that Black history is American history, and we must continue to work towards a nation where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. We still have a long way to go, but we can get there if we work together and recognize that individual differences are normal and healthy, not a source of division.
Next up, we have a batch of first reading policies. We'll probably vote on those at the next meeting, not the meeting, the last meeting in the month, not the first. So if you have any questions, please contact the appropriate staff member. Item 10.01, facility update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Not really sure where I was supposed to start, so I'll just start with Accomack Primary. We had 3 alternates that I brought you all previously, and I think, Madam Chair, you requested more information on the sanitary line. That looked at that. I did get those numbers. I worked with the county sewer hall to get these. Monthly operational would be about $265. Annual was about $3,200 annual cost to have the Accomack Primary connected to the sanitary for the Hampton Road Sanitation District. And the alternate cost for it, paperwork's all over the place, so you'll have to forgive me, is $247,500 is what that alternate is in that project. And that's the complete, that takes the sanitary line, it's the pump house, the whole deal, and it takes it all the way to the manhole behind the Accomack County building now, where the school board's office is located. That's where the connection is, that's back there. That's add alternate number 1. Add alternate number 2 was a full building generator for the, for Accomack Primary. That generator, I lost my papers already, I'll wing it. It's a whole building generator. It's, if the central freezers will be on it as well. Right now, we don't have any type of generator for the central freezers. If we lose power there, we gotta hope it comes back on pretty quick. That alternate is $240,460. And then the third alternate was for landscape and plantings. I'll just pass this around. Sorry I don't have a PowerPoint this evening. The yellow highlighted on that sheet right there kind of represents where landscaping will be. There's some stuff scribbled beside it that tells the type of trees and things like stuff like that. That change order was $45,418. The total of all the change orders is $533,378. And again, I mean, I guess what I'm shooting for this evening is approval from the board to move forward with change orders 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, 1, 3, you know, whatever. But I mean, we do have the contract from the contractor for Accomack Primary, base bid contract, $8,216,000. It's still in review right now by the school division's attorney. Hopefully we'll have it this week, is what we're shooting for, so we can get it signed and get the contract, get it signed, so we can kind of get a notice to proceed and a start date from them, which we're hoping will happen pretty quickly, so we can get that thing moving. Any questions about any of those? Yes, sir.
What was the cost again alone for the sanitary sewer line?
$247,500.
Say that again, sir.
$247,500. Yes, ma'am.
So with regard to the landscaping, I'm just remembering a question, we're not taking anything away.
The trees, the sycamore trees in front of the building will stay. We are not touching them. We've been very careful throughout the whole clear out of that building, not to hit them, not to get close. We'll be very cognizant of how important they are to the community.
So, did we discuss, like, having our own septic system versus going?
Well, the base bid has a septic tank, septic system, drain field and all of that in there, in the base bid. Which as well will have operating costs as well because of doing the inspections and pumping and all of that. I'm not here to give a recommendation, but the sanitary line is kind of the move for the future and long term as far as, you know, not having to deal with sanitation, septic lines and things like that. Can't speak for the county, but the county is, you know, has hoped that we would tie into that as well. But I can't speak for them, but that's conversations that I've had.
So what was the cost again from the contractor?
For the sanitary line?
Yeah, for the whole.
Oh, the all three, 530.
No, I mean for the whole project.
Including all the alternates or just the base bid?
Just the base.
Base bid is $8,216,000. And if you include all three add alternates into that, it's $8,749,978.
So we're still coming under the.
Yes, sir. We're still under and having all the add alternates into it.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve all three alternates with the base bid.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion is second, to move forward with this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you. I'll start working on that tomorrow. Next, let me hit just kind of quickly on the vape sensors. The vape sensors are installed. I know for sure that Dan Dua has confiscated some vapes already. I shouldn't call them vape sensors, the sensors. They do a lot more than just things. We've got some bugs we're working out with some Arcadia. We've got some communication bugs. Jack and I, more so Jack than myself, Jack about technology, is working with the company's technology department to try to get it worked out. We really don't know what's going on there, but it's a bug we're working out. But they're all installed, they're all operational. Some days Arcadia works better than others. Middle schools are both, theirs are working. They've not had as many notices. I think Andrew and Arcadia are leading in charge right now for alerts on them. But they are up and running, and I sent an email to all the principals last week, just kind of getting their feel for how things were going with them and things like that. I mean, outside of those that work out, they were all pleased that they were in. They want us to make some adjustments to them. Arcadia wants us to figure out there's a way to not have the lights on, because when the students see the lights on, they think they're working, and it makes them not do things, which in my opinion is a good thing. So if they're not doing it, that's great. But that's where we're at on the vapes. let's talk about Shaky water leak, since that's a pretty good one. Show and tell time. Here's what happens when you use dissimilar metals in plumbing. Copper line, galvanized pipe. The leak of Shaky, despite what a lot of people said, had nothing to do with cold weather. It just was time when it busted. It's a copper line with a galvanized nipple on it, and it just gave up.
Where was that pipe?
It was in the ceiling above the girls' rest bathroom closest to the gym, kind of across from like the Clinton. Up in the ceiling, and not something that, and this is probably original, this is original construction, part of the building, so they've been there for a while. We dumped about 32,000 gallons of water in the school, according to Shinnecock's Watertown records. The leak started at approximately 12:18 a.m. The water quit at about 6:15, 6:30, somewhere we might have cut off. We were able, between Paul Box and myself, being on the phone all morning trying to get Serve Master, anybody we could find that did water cleanup. Paul finally got Service Master, they converted an entire team to our school from their solid grade office. And had it not been for that, I think two things played into our factor. We had a lot of weather that week that bailed us out, because had we not had the weather, we would probably not had school with Shinnecock that week. We did miss that Tuesday until it occurred. Service Master did a great job, the facilities guy did a great job. We started on the south end of the county, instead of truck in every school picking up shop flags to bring the Shinnecock staff. When we got up there, we made a big dent in it. Service Master showed up with their equipment and really did a bang-up job. I mean, I can't thank them enough. They're still working there. As of the Sunday, whatever, the last 2 weeks are terrible. I can't remember much. Before we came out to school Monday last week, there was only 2 areas in the whole school on a moisture meter that still had any moisture, any damage at all. Both those were in the central office. They were very small areas. We had the entire school, every classroom, no moisture at all. We've got a lot of baseboard pulled off the walls and things like that we still got to fix, but we've still got dehumidifiers running in the main office and in the 2 bathrooms where the leak occurred. But there's no negative impacts to classes at this point at all. Everything outside the office, Principal King and her staff are dealing with a little compromising premises right now with a lot of noise, but it's better than I envisioned it to be. So that's kind of, we're wrapping up there. We're going to bring in a guy this week for survey. He's going to come and just do some air sampling, just to double check, make sure we don't have any issues, mold, mildew, anything like that. But I think that we were proactive enough on the cleanup that we're in really good shape. Tangier, yes ma'am.
So there's no smells either?
No ma'am.
Okay.
We got one area, I can't recall what it is, down for the office on the left hand side, a small carpeted teacher's lounge maybe, that we may have to replace carpet in there. But very simply, it was a shock, there was no smell in the library, and the computer lab, because there are carpet spaces, and I mean, but we had the carpets cleaned in the whole building. Service Master came in, not only extract them, they came back and cleaned the carpets later that week. Some of the area rugs that were in some of the classrooms got wet. So cold that we didn't have where to take them outside, so Service Master took those back to their shop as well. Dried them, brought them back from the place. So it's really a big effort by a lot of people. They spend time to stay on this house. And I think the last thing I have is, let's all forget something, Tangier. We've got a water leak in Tangier in a 6-inch line under the school. I spent most of the last week and about 7 hours or so over the weekend on the phone with contractors trying to beg, plead, anybody can go over there and fix this thing. I finally got, let me give you a little background. It's a 6-inch water line. It comes off the main water tower in Tangier. The school, there is no valve in place to shut it off. Right now, if the water line in school were to bust, the water tower would probably start dumping. And if somebody didn't get valve in place in the tower shut off the time, we could dump the water system in Tangier and get no water around. Worst case scenario, it's pretty bad. I got a guy from TK Construction that is giving me a price on first thing we've got to do is put a valve in to fix a pipe, keep the water shut off. So I've got a guy, an insurgent valve can be put in the line without turning the water off to die. we either shut the water down for what could be a day or a day plus to do valve work, or we pay some extra money, $21,375, I think is what I told Beth, to put an insurgent valve in where we don't cut the water off the can at all. We'll have a valve in place to shut the school water down, and then we can fix the water line. We got 2 leaks right now, they're approximately 20 feet apart, which is a stick of pipe that's 20 foot long, so we may have a fractured pipe that's leaking at both ends, it could split. Don't know. We've tried digging it up, and the water's coming out so fast, you really can't dig it out, and grab these pipes on top of it. I'm waiting on him, I thought he would text me this evening, waiting on him to give me a down with the valve and things available, so we can go ahead and move forward, get the valve in place, and I would say we'll make the repair right now, but given the line and what we've seen where we've covered in places, my suggestion is going to be after we make the repair, the area operator come back in the summertime, shut the water down, and replace the whole water line from the valve we put in to the water. That way we don't have another one of these problems down the road. But if we have a problem down the road after we have the valve, it's not near the problem that it is. You know, once the valve's in place, if we have an issue, it inconveniences the school. Right now, it's a whole lot of issue. So that's kind of the update on Tangier. Water issues a lot of places. Any questions? All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Take my souvenir with me.
The gyms that we're doing.
Yeah, I spoke with the architectural firm, end of last week. They're finishing up on their stuff. We'll have, should be in the end of this month, I'll have the bid documents ready to go, or we can put it out to bid, just see where the bids come in, and then I go from there.
That's on both gyms?
Yes, sir. That's be both gym, Pump Peak and Angela.
Thank you.
Yep.
Item 10.02, calendar.
You left rust up there. You left rust up there. Rust.
Good evening, board members. I believe you have Smith is getting ready to display our survey results. Much like the results that we shared previously regarding calendar, our stakeholders and our staff results were very similar. First, you're looking at here, this is the stakeholder results. The top choice for our stakeholders was, for the 2 days this was February 17th, which is President's Day, and April 21st, which is the Monday following Easter. Their second choice was February 17th and March 17th, which would take a day from the spring break. And their third choice was add the 2 days at the end of the year. And here is showing you who participated in the stakeholders survey. Actually, the one you're seeing right here is for the school. And for the staff results, again, the first place choice was February 17th, which is President's Day, and April 21st, which is the day after Easter break. You'll see a slight difference on the staff, where their second place was June 16th and 17th. So basically, when we combine this data, the two top choices were either add the 2 days at the end of the school year, and if we were to do that, we need to keep in mind that one of those days involves election in our schools, so we would have to reach out and coordinate with the director of elections. And also, the second top choice was February 17th and April 21st. And what this would mean is President's Day is actually a 12-month employee day off already, so we would move that to March 21st for 12-month employees. Questions about the results? Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Taylor.
So if we moved the days to the 16th and the 17th, that wouldn't affect the seniors, or would it affect the seniors? Because we get out, because we graduate on the 10th.
And Ms. Taylor, their last days are, they're locked in, they're the same. Yeah, so it wouldn't change graduations or anything like that. Good question.
So you're implying that all the seniors would just like to add 2 days to that?
Yes. I don't know how that survey will turn out. But so
basically, we're just asking you to consider this data, and again, the top two choices, which would be add at the end of the school year, or take President's Day and April 21st, which is the day after Easter, when you're considering your input. Any questions?
Okay. Now, you hear a lot of chatter about waivers that could be applied for storms or disasters or whatever. That's something we can't do with this time, has to be made up. There's nothing else we can do at this time.
There's a certain amount of days that you would have to get to seek those waivers. Like if we had, a massive storm came in, the storm that we had, where it's just a couple of days, we're still within our window. So that particular waiver is for an extensive natural disaster or storm, such as what's taking place out in the western part of the country.
Okay. And I also give you questions that these can't be made up virtual.
No, we're on a 150-day calendar, and these are in-person days.
Okay, just asking the question.
Sure.
I guess there's no chance for, no, I guess that doesn't matter. They were worried about if it was a Friday, making that a half day, but both of those are Monday, so I guess that really wouldn't matter. Unless the teachers need to time different grades or something, but, okay. There are questions I had sent to me, so.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson is going to talk to us about the classified salary options.
Hello.
I'm sorry. I almost wondered what's for, can we just work for this day with that?
I don't think
Katie,
so.
can the board forgive the days?
No, we're over the 180-day calendar, we would not meet our requirements.
All right, so this goes back a couple meetings, but you asked me we put together some options for you. We came back to the drawing board, we put together a few more options. I believe I've emailed this to everyone, maybe 2 meetings ago or so. The first option only applies to C1, C2, and C3, and you can see those positions that are listed. These are the positions it would affect. And this would be approximately 11% raise for individuals in C1, 7% C2, and 3.5 in C3. That's option 1. Option 2 affects Cs 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see there the minimum hourly rates and the maximum hourly rates. And again, this represents 11% for C1, 7.4% for C2, 4.6% for C3, and 2% approximately for C4. Okay. Option 3, which affects the most employees, Cs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can see those new rates. And again, that's 11% for C1, approximately 7% for C2, 3.5% for C3, 1.2% for C4, and 1.2% for C5. I've also emailed you a lot of information about only emailed you options for, or information about the third choice, just to give you an idea of what it took to change all that up. So like you saw in your email recently, proposed new salary scales for Cs 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is the option that Dr. Jeck, the superintendent, is advocating for. Of course, it's up to you all. And the number of employees that affects, and I believe I also emailed you different position titles and salaries and proposed new salaries, so on and so forth. So the highest percent raise is approximately 11%. The lowest for that option would be about 1.2%, as we talked about how it would bring up the bottom of the scale. So anyway, that's for you all to consider. If you have any questions.
Is everybody on this list, are they all salaried, not salaried, wage earners or salaried employees? Is there anybody on the list that's a salaried employee?
Yes, they're all salaried employees, but these would be their new hourly rates.
Based on the salary?
Based on the salary, yes, ma'am.
So they get full benefits and
Yes, ma'am. So part of this also was, I believe I emailed you this too. I would also recommend, if anyone makes a motion, that we also consider the SSMs, that we raise their salary also to a minimum of $15 an hour, and that if an SSM has any additional responsibilities like a medical condition child or something they have to monitor or something they have to change, you know, things like that, that they receive $16 per hour instead of the current salary we're providing, $13.13.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to adopt option 3.
I'll second. There's a motion and a second to adopt option 3.
With retroactive back to day 1 of school.
And friendly amendment would include the student support.
Yes. Also would like to add the SSMs to the adjustment as well.
Okay, so we have option 3, the student support monitors and retroactive. Yes. And a second.
Is it appropriate to ask a question about the bus drivers? Why, they're not on here, I'm struggling.
Remember, Dr. Jack was here and he asked you to give us, you know, some direction of what we did. We did get some ideas, and I don't think the bus drivers were brought up. We can certainly review them as well and bring something back to you if that's the will of the board.
And I think part of this, if I'm mistaken, please correct me, but there was a lot of people at the $13 an hour mark. We're trying to get them up to 15. The bus drivers currently make 21 or something, or
They get a daily rate. I think Chris is here. He might be able to tell you a little bit better. But they get a daily rate, and it is, to my knowledge, Chris will correct me if I'm wrong, north of $15. They don't really work hourly. You do a daily rate to do a route. And I don't know, on average, Chris, what does that take? How many hours does that take? Less than 2 hours to do your route.
Yeah, we use a base of 4 hours, because you got pre-trip check or whatever, so we typically say 4 hours, and I don't remember what
The lowest. So for 4 hours work, our bus drivers are currently earning $65. So that averages to better than $15 an hour. But again, if that's your will for us to look at that again, we certainly will.
I don't want to hold up the process, I just wanted to be clear that they weren't on there, I didn't see them on there, but I guess your rationale or your explanation will justify why they're not on there. I just don't want, like I said, I've heard a lot of stuff about the bus drivers and that they are expecting something as well, and then when I look at the list and I don't see them on there, I don't want, I mean, what do I say? Oh, well, you're already making more than $15 an hour, so that's not going to include you. Could that be the correct explanation?
Again, I think if I remember from what Dr. Jack was telling you is, you know, we wanted you all to give us some direction as to what to look at. Again, to my knowledge, the bus drivers weren't mentioned. So, you know, again, we'd be happy to look at it if that's what you are wanting us to do. Just give us the direction to do that.
There is still a motion on the floor for the option 3, retroactive, SSMs with medical. There is a second. I'm gonna call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
I'm gonna move to abstain.
Oh, okay. Okay, so one abstain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Staff budget presentations. And I believe we just have one now.
Is that just me?
Oh, no, it's just Miller.
We got Laura.
Okay.
Karen, are you presenting? No? Oh, so you're up. You were wonderful. Good evening. My motion request, I'm not sure if you saw it, but
Jesus, love her.
Superintendent, or way compared to what the superintendent already presented. A lot of my stuff has to do with staffing. As you know, we are the largest school in Accomack County. Thankfully, this year we are almost fully staffed. But even with being staffed, there's still a need on our end. Some of the things that we've asked for over the years, and they finally have made it on the budget, or it's been on the budget in the past and not been filled, is the full-time band teacher. Certainly the benefit of the arts can't be disputed. Having a full-time band teacher, full-time course teacher at the high school level will certainly help us with not only filling opportunities for students to participate, but also some of our extracurricular activities with marching band and the choir and the things that students come to school for besides just the learning that takes place. We also, right now, we have a full-time art teacher and a half-time art teacher that we split between both mainland high schools. We'd like to see that second full-time art teacher to, again, support the arts. We have a part-time PE teacher, health PE teacher, that goes between the two mainland high schools with the semester change. We'd like to go back to having 3 full-time. And in our situation, we only have one certified driver's ed instructor at the high school. This year, my sophomore class has 250 kids, so that individual is responsible for teaching all 250 kids driver's ed throughout the course of the year. Pardon me, I got a quick call. Sitting here all night, my throat gets dry, I apologize. So being able to hire a new, or another PE teacher, we asked at least we get some driver's ed certification, take some of the burden off that one individual, and make the class size a little smaller. I've mentioned it before, and it's my Bears working on it, but with Arcadia High School, our EL population is just as large as our special education population. I have 8 special education teachers, I have 3 EL teachers. That may change with the new administration, but when I wrote the budget, we certainly could use some more EL teachers, especially for our newcomers. We have a newcomers program, and if those students start with us at the beginning of the school year, see, it's contagious, you got that too. Those students start with us at the beginning of the school year. We get a new group of students, usually December, January, and they're not at the same level as the students who started with us in the fall. So we have the same teacher teaching those students, and sometimes they're in the same classes and their needs aren't quite the same. So she has to differentiate or do different activities to meet the needs of the kids. So having another EL teacher to at least have a newcomer part 1 and a newcomer part 2 to kind of help our students adjust to education in the United States would be great. Taylor talked about having a guidance secretary. That's on the budget. We can certainly use that, especially with all the requirements that we have to do for attendance and updating PowerSchool. A lot of our PowerSchool databases aren't up to date because we just don't have the manpower to sit there and update every time someone changes a phone number or an address, putting bus numbers in there. All of that takes manpower. We just don't have that. And then certainly attendance is a big part of our accreditation standard. We're trying to stay accredited, at least I am. One thing we got a couple years ago was an additional permanent substitute teacher. We benefited, we had the second one. Having 2 people that were there every single day to fill, when we have coaches that have to leave for a game as opposed to pulling their colleagues. We're paying those colleagues when they do cover for other teachers that aren't there or have to leave, but then they're not getting the playing time. And then so it starts to, you're robbing Peter to pay Paul. So if we had a second permanent substitute teacher, we'd certainly find a place to use them. And then the last but not least, in regards to human beings that we could use, is a full-time athletic director. At all 3 schools. I'm not sure if anyone has any experience being an athletic director. I was an athletic director at Arcadia High School when I was an AP from 2008 to 2012, and my athletic director stepped down over the winter break, so I've assumed those responsibilities. Thank goodness we had minimal amount of school with students in the building in January, so I've been able to get caught up on our athletic stuff. But that is more than a $3,750 stipend job each semester. That is absolutely ridiculous for the amount of work that a athletic director has to do at the high school level. And they get that twice. The football coach almost makes as much as them, and they have to teach. They coach from the end of July to November. The athletic directors, and I'm not sure how familiar you are with VHSL. VHSL's requirements for coaches are changing. There's a lot of coach education that needs to take place. They're responsible for tracking that, logging that. Back in the day when we used to do this, Gary Reese and I used to do this, and Doc Wilfong used to do your MELs on a piece of paper and you'd submit it. Now everything has to be entered into the databases, and there's more than one place to enter it. If you don't enter it properly, VHSL sends you a nice $50 fine to remind you that you didn't do it right. So it's more than one block off for $3,750. It is literally a full-time job. We certainly need the help. It's not taking the place of administrators at games. It's not taking the place of having that visibility, that presence. It is somebody who can actually manage our athletic programs. And as the chairperson of the Eastern Shore District, I oversee the principals and the athletic directors and how we operate and how we run our athletic programs. And one of the suggestions to justify the position is having that athletic director for Chincoteague, Arcadia, and Nandua also oversee what happens over at the middle schools. You can still have that stipend position at the middle school level to kind of have boots on the ground and handle the day-to-day operations, but at least we've had some coordination between what happens at the middle schools and what happens at the high schools, and trying to build our programs up so that our students have those opportunities to be involved in, the HSL extracurricular activities. So that's my pitch on that. Feel free to talk to me about it if you'd like to. I'm very passionate about it. I don't know how much more time I have. The rest of that stuff's on there. There's some one-time purchases. I'd love a second scoreboard on the side of my gym so the people don't have to crane their necks when we only have one scoreboard. We're the only school that only has one scoreboard. My people, it's like NASCAR. We just turn to the left all the time. If we're giving out gyms, I could use another one. I have 700 kids. Wouldn't mind my gym floor getting redone at some point. I'd love a wooden gym floor, but that's besides the point. You guys saw my stuff that was on the ask for one time. What are your questions? Yes, sir.
Maybe rock and roll show you can come up to.
Not on my budget. It's not on my budget.
How's the sound system? You think over there?
Our sound system's great. It's the heating that's always the issue and the smells. But other than that, it's all right.
You didn't have everything.
I know, right? Hey, and then if it doesn't rain that weekend or those 2 weekends, the water doesn't pour into the front of the doors, everyone has to walk through a swamp. It's ideal. But if you came to the winter night of the arts, if you didn't wear your extra cuffs, your feet were wet.
You're asking for some monkey boots?
I had plenty of mud boots. I had plenty of pairs of extra. I had lace up ones, short ones, tall ones, ripped ones. I got them all.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, you gotta really lower that.
Talk about a Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. My name is Lori Fair. I'm the school health coordinator for Accomack County Public Schools. And I just wanted to present to you tonight to express my concern for next year's budget and the fact that I didn't see, and I could have missed it, the addition of our second clinic assistants for our schools. I'm going to talk a little bit about the specific request I put in. Ideally, each clinic would have a second nurse or a clinic assistant. However, from a safety perspective, it's essential to fund a second nurse or clinic assistant for those clinics that have greater than 25 visits per day. This would be an increase of 2 additional staff members for school health. So first thing I'd like to do is look at a few numbers for the 2024-25 school year. This last semester, fall 2024, Accomack County Public School Clinics saw 26,551 clinic visits. That's an average of 316 visits per day. 6 of our 11 schools average greater than 34 visits a day, and 2 of our 11 schools average greater than 46 visits a day. That's a lot. I do want to mention that 30% of our students have one or more chronic health conditions, just as a side note. All this data is important, but our Accomack County nurses have many responsibilities that are time-consuming and are not captured in this data. Some of these duties that are not included include staff education, both student-specific and medication designee training, like gastrostomy tube feedings that our SSMs provide, diapering, we have to provide education on all that. We provide student education on chronic conditions and medications. An example of that would be our diabetics, learning how to stick their finger or administer insulin to themselves. We have to write care plans and confidential forms for all the staff. We have to track immunizations, especially for those who are conditionally enrolled, and that goes on throughout the year. We have to do communicable disease surveillance, monitoring how many students or staff members per classroom test positive for flu or COVID or any of the other reportable diseases on the Virginia Department of Health Communicable Disease Reporting List. Say that really fast.
We have to do all the state mandated screenings and the special education screenings, tuberculosis screenings for new employees and volunteers, attendance documentation and filing of all the student health records. We have to attend meetings with parents and administration, such as 504, IEP meetings, SBIT meetings, and individualized healthcare plan meetings. We have to prepare for field trips, making sure we have permission slips signed from parents for that medication designee to administer that medicine. We have to do case management on all different kinds of students for all different kinds of things. And something else that we should be doing, but we're not currently doing, is Medicaid billing, and we're missing out on a lot. Currently, we only have 2 nurses who are trained to do Medicaid billing, and they just happen to be at 2 schools where we don't have a full-time second person. They did wonderfully just get a floater assigned to them, so they share 1 person. So they will be able to start, getting into Medicaid billing, and we do have a training coming up on the 19th, their early dismissal day, so that Heidi and Pam can train the rest of us on how to do that Medicaid billing. Because the schools that do have that second person, everyone is new. So, time is another big factor. I know all teachers work outside their contracted work hours, but our nurses do too. We don't have lesson plans to take home or anything like that, but they all come in early and they all go home late. Those nurses without that second nurse, they don't get lunch. Sometimes they don't get a restroom break. Safety is a really big important factor. Without that second nurse or clinic assistants, those nurses will be practicing in an unsafe environment, and the quality of care provided to these students will be compromised. Having a second nurse or clinic assistant enables safe and efficient functioning of the clinic, provides continuity of care when the nurse needs to be out of the clinic, allows time for the nurse to effectively perform those duties not included in the data that we previously mentioned, and will allow time for the nurse to bill for those Medicaid services. Our current staffing for our 11 schools includes 10 RNs, 4 LPNs, 1 clinic assistant over on Tangier. We do have 2 substitutes, but they are only for specific schools. Does anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, let me begin by saying I appreciate all the data. I will also say I believe everything that you said. Bringing us data for one point in time begs for me the question, longitudinal data. Have these numbers of visits gone up? Have they gone up over a brief period of time? And more importantly, you definitely anticipate that the number of visits to remain high for the foreseeable future?
Actually, I have data from the whole semester. It went up. I pulled data when I first submitted the budget request to Beth, and I think the max average was 37, and that's gone up to 48. That's why I pulled a whole semester instead of just, 8 weeks. I can go into our electronic medical record and try to pull a year's worth, although I think you'll find that data higher because that would include your COVID years.
Yeah, I'm not asking, I appreciate knowing that you have access to the data, and so to the other part, you expect the number of visits to not trail off, but to.
Correct, yeah. Yeah, I try to pull, like at the end of the year, I'll pull longitudinal, for the whole current year.
Yeah.
Tanya was here last year, so I don't have her data, so, that's something I like to track as a supervisor. What's this clinic doing? What's that clinic doing? Where am I gonna put this nurse? Where should I put that nurse? For example, that's why I requested for every clinic that sees more than 25. Because right now it's all elementary schools and Mantua Middle. Because of the chronic health conditions they have at Mantua Middle, if that drops off next year and it picks up at Arcadia Middle, they're not gonna need that at Mantua Middle, they're gonna need this, we're gonna move that person.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a brief statement, not questions. My stepmother, she is the nurse at the Accomack, and she dress. I'm so serious, you would think she's pulling her hair out. Like, but I do appreciate her, and I'm quite sure the students love her. From what I hear, they love her. So having a second nurse would definitely help her. She does so much. She does so much when she goes home. She does so much on the weekends. She does so much when she's not even in the building, just for her students and just to make sure she's caught up on all the paperwork, everything for the students. So having a second nurse would definitely help her, and I'm quite sure to help all the other nurses that are lacking in this area specifically.
Thank you. Anybody else have a question? I put my, oh, go ahead.
The Medicaid bill, so how would that work? So, I mean, is that something that we will get money back?
Yes.
Do you have any idea of how much?
I can't give you a number. I'll learn more once I do the training. Jennifer Annis, I can get the information from Jennifer Annis on what they generated in previous years.
You don't have to worry about it, just, I was kind of curious.
Yeah, I'm told it's a substantial amount.
Thank you for.
Any other questions? You know, please feel free to email me or call me.
Thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you very much. Next up is the HR consultant. So we're talking about this somewhat more in depth in our last meeting, and there's the rationale. It's been posted on the agenda for a few days. Does anybody have any questions?
Madam Chair. Opening it up for discussion if need be. But, I would like to make a motion to approve the proposal as has been presented on board docs. And direct the superintendent to move forward and advertise the position as described.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to move forward with the HR consultant. All in favor? Opposed?
Nay. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, I think I slept on the, comment period. I can hold my thoughts for comments if you want. So
Okay.
I can hold my thoughts.
Okay, that would be great. All right, is there a consensus on the calendar?
Hey, I don't mind to say that as one individual, based on what I think citizens broadly would say, I would prefer the February 17th and April 1st option, adding 2 days to the end of the school year. It is not attractive to me.
Did you hear what she said?
Oh, I'm scared the state is gonna fall. I'm scared.
Oh, because she's a senior, and so seniors want days after the end of the year.
Oh,
So they're
that's
all
right.
gone, they don't care about everybody else.
It's fine, I love school.
Okay. So, is there a second? Is there a second?
I'm willing to hear.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Number 217 and 421?
Yes.
Yes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to go to school on February 17th and April 21st. All in favor? Opposed? School board member comments?
My turn?
Yes.
So with regard to the HR consultant, I think that, there are 4 points, maybe 5, and I'll go quickly, because it's already been approved. I would, offer that the current HR manager has specifically said that he would hate to see us spend money on something that is not needed, number 1. Number 2, there are so many budget requests, I've said these things before, that, other budget requests that could more directly impact students. And I feel like we're taking money away. I think that this position a waste of taxpayer dollars. Third, and this may be 3, 4, and 5, the duties in the description really read like, particularly number 3, they read like there's a desire to repeat or replace last compensation study, another huge waste of taxpayer dollars. I specifically asked the question, or made the comment about a month ago when this was first introduced, that it sounded like something where we were trying to replace the last compensation study. And all I will say about that is let's just let time tell. Let's just let time tell. And I say these things because it's my view, tonight's been, pretty peaceful and all that. Really, like I think a board meeting should be run where diverse thoughts, different thoughts are shared and, we agree to disagree. It is decisions like this, which I think are one-sided and with an ulterior motive, is my opinion. I think it continues to harm our credibility. I'm in this for the duration. My ancestors fought way too hard for me to give up, although I do get frustrated with this 5-person vote continually. The last thing I want to say publicly, because I've asked about this topic a number of times, I pulled myself off of the Student Conduct Committee in order to give someone else the opportunity. When the committee's list went around, when it was circulated by our vice chair, I came to the stark realization that I'm already on 2 committees for Accomack County Public Schools audit for the county and safety and security. And so, as I said to Ms. Jackson, I just wanted to say publicly that I'll look forward with the rest of the board to hearing those outcomes, but I pulled myself from that table. That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Bowman?
I just wanted to share that I'm so delighted with everyone who spoke and shared this evening, all the people from our junior middle school, and I really enjoyed listening to the people who spoke during the public hearing on our budget. So many times we have a public hearing and no one speaks, but we had 3 very positive, enthusiastic, articulate people talk about programs that benefit our students, things that really mean a lot to them, and I just really appreciate it so much.
I just wanted to say how delighted I am. I share Ms. Bowman's sentiments about tonight, but also, and this is probably the first time in years that I've been on Facebook as much as I have been this year, but I'm just real excited whenever I go on, and I always see all of the great things that the students at the various schools are doing, and that's what our job is about, is to celebrate not only the students, but to celebrate the employees as well, so I'm really happy about that. I will express, and I want to be clear in my expression, that I didn't want to hold up the vote tonight in regards to other people, the classified staff being able to get their raises. I'm glad they got them, but I am disappointed that the bus drivers were not included.
Amen. I'm a bus driver. I enjoyed hearing all about Arcadia Middle School tonight. It was nice to hear that, and I'm glad to hear about all the progress we're making with our building and grounds.
I also want to just state again that I did hear from Arcadia Middle School and the young man that spoke. And I hear some of our other board members are saying about this HR consultant, but looking over the information that I found online, that the HR consultant can provide advice and support to organizations in all aspects of human resources, including developing and implementing HR policies, managing employee relations, conducting recruitment, designing training programs, ensuring compliance with employment laws, and aligning HR strategies with overall business goals. And I feel like by having this consultant, I think it could help. We can come up with some good design training programs for our teachers that ultimately could help our schools and where we can also help with our students do what we can do for best for our students. So that's why I feel like I wanted to say why I voted for the HR consultant. I feel like it is for us, it ultimately going to be for our students. So, Mr. Wayne.
I'd like to say 2 things tonight. First, Ms. Handy, I would definitely support the bus drivers getting a raise, for sure, to implement into the one we just passed tonight. Full support from me on that. Second, I want to report on the SEAC committee that I belong to. We had a meeting last week. Unfortunately, 5 people showed up, including myself. So I would invite parents of children with special needs to please come to these meetings. Your voice needs to be heard, and we're there to listen. So just spread the word that, the SEAC needs more participation. That's it.
All right, I'll be brief. Again, it gets repetitive. Thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for coming out and talking about the budget. The students you guys choose always do a fantastic job when they speak in front of us. I wish the young man was still here. Bobby, Ms. Ferguson, nice to hear from all of you. Mr. O'Shea, thanks for making us laugh. And that'll finish me off.
Did you have anything? Any staff or students know it's not and the superintendent's not here, so we need to adjourn to another brief closed session. Finish up our business. Thank you all for coming.
Madam Chair, I move that we go to closed session for personnel matters that include professional, classified, part-time, contractual, substitute, appointments and resignations, and status changes, as well as extended management leave.
Thank you. The motion is second to go into closed session. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?